All right, let's get into our first discussion now. Nigeria now has a budget. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo signed the 2017 budget into law at a short ceremony attended by key officials of the presidency and National Assembly at the Presidential Villa in Abuja.
Osinbajo expressed optimism that the signing will trigger activities in the domestic economy that will lead to job creation, but would like to warn that this report you're about to see contains some flash photography, and the report is by our correspondent Taya Madu.
It is a key event at the meeting room of the Vice President's wing, and in attendance are key officials of the presidency. Also in attendance are the principal officers of the National Assembly, led by Senate President Bukola Saraki and the Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, who had been on a trip to Anambra State earlier in the day, came into the room some minutes to 5 p.m. and after a quick introduction by the Deputy Chief of Staff, Adi Paye, put pen to paper signing the 7.44 trillion naira appropriation bill into law. Osinbajo expresses how impressed he is that there is a significant improvement in the quality of the preparation as well as the presentation of the budget, and commends the Ministry of Budget and Planning for achieving this over a single budget cycle. He also commends the National Assembly for their collaborative spirit in engaging MDAs during the budget defense sessions, which he says has ensured that there were fewer reported cases of acrimony or hostile wrangling this year than in the past. The acting president reveals that the budget was considerably delayed due to disagreements between the executive and the National Assembly over changes introduced to the 2017 budget proposals, which affected some of the administration's priority programs.
The most important being that the leadership of the National Assembly has given us a commitment that the Assembly will reinstate budgetary allocations for all the important executive projects, such as the railway standard gauge projects, the Mambila Power Project, the second Niger Bridge, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, etc., which had been reduced to fund some other new projects. This reinstatement will be by way of an application for environment by the executive, which the National Assembly has graciously agreed to expeditiously consider.
The acting president also expresses commitment of both the Executive and National Assembly towards returning the budget to a January to December fiscal year. For major actors, the next step is implementation of the budget, and they are optimistic that if the level of implementation of last year's budget can be sustained in 2017, it will have a far-reaching effect.
There's a budget of a capital of 2 trillion, the largest we've done so far. If we can maintain the success of 2016, the percentage of capital implementation, that is good for Nigeria. The second most important part, which I really think is key, is the drive for Made in Nigeria to ensure that government agencies give first option to Nigerian companies. That will mean more jobs for our people and also be able to save on foreign exchange. And then continue to drive on agriculture and diversification.
The government is optimistic that the signed budget will act as a tool that will pull the country out of the bleakness of recession, uplifting it into a dawn of abundance. Tayamudu, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, joining us now to discuss this via Skype is the financial analyst, Bolaji Shoneye. He's a financial analyst. Good morning, Bolaji. It's good to have you join us right now.
Good morning.
All right, we also have joining us from our Abuja studio our State House correspondent, Tai Amodu. Tai, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
All right. Tai, let me start with you. You were at the ceremony, at the signing ceremony yesterday. We often see this kind of enthusiasm from government officials when budgets are being signed. You were there. Can you give us a picture into what was the mood within the hall where it was signed yesterday?
I think it was generally a mood of relief. You know, the executive had always underpinned the fact that this budget is very, very crucial to the economic recovery and growth plan. And, you know, the continued delay had set anxiety, because the idea was how was the, how was government going to, do the economic recovery and growth plan if the budget was not signed on time. So generally there was relief on both sides, because pressure was also on the National Assembly to deliver on the budget as soon as possible. And note, it still took 6 months for the budget to be signed from when President Buhari submitted the budget at the National Assembly to when Acting President Osinbajo signed it yesterday.
All right, Shunaya, let's bring the table to your own court now. As a financial analyst, what do you make of the assumption of 2017 as it is passed now, signed now by the acting president?
I must say it's a point of confidence, and it's a win-win for all Nigerians. For the first time, we are seeing both the executives and the legislative arms of government coming into agreement to work together on this budget, and I must say it's a smoother process, although it may look as if it's taking some time for the budget to be signed, all right, but I must say this is a budget that is free of acrimony and some impediments, okay, and unlike what we had the last time, so many controversies around the budget, but at least this 2017 budget is a budget of confidence for both investors, foreign investors, and local growth.
All right, Bolaji, let me stay with you on this. The acting president talked about the issue of trying to recalibrate the fiscal year to start from January to December. Now, what impact would that have in budget implementation or execution of the budget?
Firstly, some weeks ago, the acting president signed some executive orders which will actually significantly impact how the implementation of budget and government's part in ensuring budget implementation is done. This is going to bring about a lot of positive impact. This is going to change a whole lot of stuff in terms of how government ensure these budgets are being implemented. For it to be reversed back, looking at it from beginning of the year till date, I must say it's to me it's even more impacting in terms of the overall goal and objectives that are to be achieved, because we never can tell even if the next year budget will be signed as early as January.
Okay, we can only hope that happens. But tell me if the National Assembly is ready to play ball.
It's also sometimes political, because one of the things that determines the growth of a nation or determines growth overall sometimes has to do with political. And as we can see, the National Assembly is playing along with the executive on this. I think we're having soft landing. We can see those that are even at the attendance of the signing ceremony yesterday. There's so much enthusiasm, and I must say this is sending out a whole lot of confidence into growth path for Nigeria, understanding full well that we are either still in recession or about getting out of it.
All right, we heard that. Okay, fine. Tai, let me come to you on this as well. Now, what were some of the concerns? Because before now, we heard that about 400 projects were infused or injected into the budget by the National Assembly. And the acting president made mention of some of those areas looking forward to applying for environment for the budget for some of the projects to be upheld. What are the concerns in that area? What were the promises made by the National Assembly?
Well, the National Assembly and the presidency came to an agreement. You know, there was still a delay in the signing of the budget from when the budget was passed. And one of the major concerns of the executive was the fact that some of their key priority projects, which they felt would make an impact on the people, had been, the budget proposals had been reduced. Issues like the Mambila Power project, rail projects, and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. These were key projects that they expected that, would impact on the people. And spending, budget proposals on these were reduced. And so the executive and the National Assembly had to come to an agreement. And the agreement was that the executive could now seek environment, that is a supplementary budget, which, they could add up the proposals, the budget proposals that had been reduced to ensure that this project still went ahead.
Apart from the State House, you have met with a lot of people in Abuja. What are they saying? What are people saying? How happy are they, or how otherwise are they when it comes to the budget?
People are generally relieved that the 2017 budget has been signed now. But, there are still concerns. We have to be concerned about the rising public debt, which, we are talking now about financing a fiscal deficit of 2.36 trillion naira. Although the acting president did assure that this was being looked into and we were still within our sustainability levels, the idea, that we have to borrow so much money, to sustain the budget is a cause for concern among Nigerians. But, like what government always says, one should look at what the monies being borrowed are going to be used for. And we are talking about the fact that we are going into a capital expenditure of 2 trillion naira. I think it's worth it. The acting president was saying yesterday that 200 billion is going to be used to improve transport infrastructure, such as roads and rail. About 500 billion will be used for investments in works, power, and housing. And 46 billion naira will be used for special economic zone projects. I think that gives a ray of hope to most Nigerians that we will spend ourselves out of the recession that we find ourselves now.
Okay, Bolaji, let's take this to you now. The issue of debt borrowing, it's obvious we have to borrow. But the acting president, according to Tai Amadu now, and that this is going to capital expenditure. But there are feelings coming from some other quarters that that's actually not the case. The money is being borrowed to pay salaries. What's your take on that?
I want to disagree that money is borrowed to pay salaries. Okay, we have to first look at the breakdown of the budget. And I must say this budget looks more reassuring, okay, because about 2.2 trillion of it is going into capital expenditure, and this is the first time the Nigerian economy will be experiencing such. And this is actually a booster for business confidence and also an encouragement medium for both private sectors and small-scale people to understand that the economy is on the right path. I'm talking about the other 2.9 trillion naira that is also going into, how do we call it, recurrent expenditure, but non-debt. This is also a form of putting confidence in letting the people know that employment and job are more secured. Job security actually brings a lot of investors' confidence into the economy, and then you begin to see people thrive locally because they know that their job is secured. They can actually also, this will also determine their spending, okay? And when you have local spending being boosted, it would increase, the campaign for purchasing the made in Nigerian local products. I must say it's a budget of growth. I totally agree with the budget bureau.
Okay.
And also the executive and legislatives on this.
All right. I've heard your explanation, but tell me why the World Bank seemed to disagree with what we are talking about now in terms of repayment of our debt. You say, fine, it's okay when you put it together, the ratio to the GDP, you say it's fine. But in terms of repayment, in terms of interest rate, why is the World Bank worried?
I must say that the World Bank worries is not just on Nigeria alone. It's a thing all over the world. Our debt is not the first country, or Nigeria is not the first country that will have such high debts. Even the US, the American government, their debt is running into trillions of dollars. Okay, so the World Bank is meant to always look for ways to always get some repayments back and also look at repayment plan that would suit them. But the function of the Nigerian government, the central bank, and the finance ministry is to ensure stability in their own local economy first. When there is stability and growth, then we can conveniently pay some of our debts. Of course, the Nigerian government or the current dispensation cannot pay all the debts.
All right, yeah, Bolaji, let me stay with you here. The acting president mentioned some of the executive projects they like to implement: the standard gauge railway project, the Mambila power project, second Niger bridge, and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. These were some of the projects that monies were taken by the National Assembly into infusing them into some of the 400 projects they proposed in the budget. But the acting president is talking about applying for environment, which is in the form of a supplementary budget. So which means the figures, are we expecting that the figures of the budget for 2017 is going to rise beyond where it is right now, 7.44 trillion?
Possibly there could be a rise or some changes in the figures, okay? And the reason is this. The National Assembly adding some other projects into that project or creating some more projects, I must say it's part of their oversight function because they are the ones that actually approve of this budget. They vet it, they go through it, they look at it. Wherever there are shortcomings, they could also add to it, okay? So what I say, I also agree with the stance of the acting president to ensure those projects in terms of rail, road, transportation mediums and others are put in place, most especially power. I must say power generation has a lot to do with the growth of the Nigerian economy, and the acting president is saying to this. I must say this entire budget process and whatever addition that needs to be done is majorly on implementation eventually, okay? Because even when we have an increment or even without an increment, we just have to ensure implementation on this. And I must say they've been able to make some roadmaps before now, which are the executive orders signed by the acting president to ensure proper implementation and also ensure that at least some local companies, some local Nigerian companies, or most or a good percentage of the budget procurements are done by patronizing the local Nigerian companies and economy.
All right, Tai, we'll wrap up this show now, but the last word coming from you now, tell us what are the expectations from the ordinary Nigerian, especially the private sector, now that the budget is up and running?
Well, the acting president did talk about the fact that there are provisions in the 2017 budget for private sector to collaborate with government because government recognizes that it cannot, fund this budget on its own, and it cannot drive economic development that this budget is striving to ensure. So, but for the average Nigerian, I believe that if money is pushed into the economy now, there will be more jobs. I think inflation will go down, and it will ensure that at least things are a little bit better than it was before.
Okay. Tai Amodu, thank you very much for talking to us. Tai is our State House correspondent. He was there at the signing ceremony with the acting president yesterday. Thank you for talking to us. And Abolaji Shoneye, financial analyst, thank you for talking to TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, you're welcome.